after the Civil War, newly freed African Americans were promised land, a chance at true freedom, economic independence, and a new beginning. But what happened to that promise? 40 acres and a mule, the promise that was broken. Join us as we uncover the story behind one of the greatest missed opportunities in American history. What was promised? What was taken? And how does it still affect us today? Let's dive into the truth behind 40 acres and a mule. Imagine finally gaining your freedom after centuries of enslavement, only to be left with nothing. No home, no land, no way to provide for your family. This was the reality for millions of newly freed African Americans after the Civil War. But for a brief moment, there was hope. 40 acres and a mule. A promise that could have changed the course of history. So, what happened? And why was it taken away? It all began in January 1865, near the end of the Civil War. General William T. Sherman, a key Union leader, met with 20 black ministers and community leaders in Savannah, Georgia. These men, all formerly enslaved, knew exactly what their people needed: land. Sherman, along with Secretary of War Edwin Stanton, drafted Special Field Order No. 15. This order set aside 400,000 acres of land along the coasts of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida for newly freed African Americans. Each family would receive up to 40 acres, and in some cases, the Army would provide them with an old mule. For many, it was their first real chance at self-sufficiency. For a few months, this plan was actually happening. Thousands of freedmen began settling on the land, farming it, and building communities. This was not just land. It was the key to economic independence, a foundation for future generations. For a few months, this plan was actually happening. Thousands of freedmen began settling on the land, farming it, and building communities. This was not just land, it was the key to economic independence, a foundation for future generations. But then came the betrayal. After Abraham Lincoln's assassination in April 1865, his successor, President Andrew Johnson, had very different views. Johnson, a Southern sympathizer, quickly overturned Sherman's order. The land was returned to its former Confederate owners, plantation masters, who had once enslaved the very people now farming that land. Thousands of black families were forcibly evicted, left landless and vulnerable. Without land, many freed African Americans had no choice but to work for their former enslavers under a system called sharecropping. This exploitative system kept black families in a cycle of debt and poverty for generations, making true economic independence nearly impossible. The promise of 40 acres and a mule was not just broken, it was snatched away before it could fully take root. Legacy and modern connections. The effects of this betrayal still linger today. Generational wealth, something that land ownership provides, was systematically denied to Black Americans. While other groups were given land through government programs like the Homestead Act, Black Americans were left to struggle under discriminatory policies. Even today, the fight for reparations continues, with many arguing that the U.S. government should make amends for this broken promise. So, what if that promise had been kept? What if millions of African Americans had been given the land they were owed? Would America look different today? One thing is certain: 40 acres and a mule wasn't just about land. It was about justice, dignity, and the chance to build a future. And that's a promise that should never have been broken. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. What do you think? Should reparations be paid for this historic injustice? Let us know in the comments below.